what agents get messed up and why these things vary is the predictable process in which you're bringing it to. Our top guys that are closing 50%, 60%. I have a guy that's closing 65% right now, which is insane. So, but if I listen to his calls, every single call sounds the exact same.
Welcome to Stay Paid Insurance and Financial Marketing. Unlock the secrets of success in insurance and financial services, where each episode delivers valuable tips and strategies to elevate your marketing game and help you succeed in both life and business. Brought to you by Reminder Media.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Stay Paid. My name's Luke Acree, and as you can tell, again, Josh is not with me today. We miss him, but we have an incredible guest, so buckle up, because this powerhouse guest that's joining us today, they're a master of lead generation, a coaching guru, and the CEO behind Unreal Media and the XFER Syndicate, the one and only Chase McAllister. Now, Chase doesn't just talk the talk, he walks the walk. Their company generates a jaw-dropping 6,000 to 8,000 phone calls every single day for life and Medicare. They've helped hundreds of agents skyrocket their income, some going from $10K a month to $10K a week. But hold on, it actually gets better, everybody. I'm going to QVC you a little bit on this intro. They've got a treasure trove of knowledge to share on social media, sales, content creation, advertising, and even the power of funny content to attract leads. So basically, if you're looking to take your lead generation game to the next level, this episode is one that you don't want to miss. So grab your pens, take notes. Chase, welcome to Stay Paid, brother.
Dude, that was the best intro I've ever received. So thank you for that.
Well, Ethan, you got to tell that to Josh. You got to. So Josh is my co-host, is the one that usually does the intro. But I'm gonna full transparency, my man. I took and I went to Gemini. We were just talking about AI before we came on the podcast. I went to Gemini and I took all your content, the answers to your questions. I put it into Gemini and said, "Hey, write me a good intro for introducing this guy on my podcast," and that's what it wrote. I mean, I tweaked it a little bit.
He's hired. Whoever that model is.
Exactly. that bot we have hired. Man, I'm super excited to talk to you. So I love sales. People who follow our podcast know I have about 120 salespeople on the phones. So, call center, that's how I've grown my own business. Now, my business is a marketing company. You're helping agents, but sales is sales. I would love to hear, someone who's doing 6,000, 8,000 calls a day. And you've really been in the game of this whole live transfer and helping people and helping agents with their leads. What are you seeing is working in the calling game right now for calling insurance leads, getting people to answer, closing rates? What are you seeing that's working?
I think there's always optimizations. There's always market changes, but the core has never changed. In the 6 years that I've done this, the sequence in how many times we connect with a person or how many times we contact a person to get that conversation hasn't changed.
Interesting.
We're typically calling within 5 minutes of them filling out a form. They don't answer then we'll call a half hour later. They don't answer that, we'll send them a text message. If they answer the text message, it'll automatically call them. Won't respond in text. We're just going to get them on the phone.
Okay.
Because conversions happen with conversations, not through SMS. Believe it or not, your chatbot won't compete with my call center anyways, but ultimately the core of it has always stayed the same. And so, yes, there's optimizations. Yes, there's new AIs. Yes, there's new ways that we can operate it, but the system and the core of it, the sequence in how we contact our leads remains the same. So before 5 minutes, we're trying to call them. If they don't answer that, half hour later. And then after that, it's every single day for 14 days, twice a day, morning and evening, until they answer. After 14 days, if they don't answer, we send them back to a nurture sequence, re-advertise to them, get the opt-in there. And that's bare bones has been the exact same sequence that we've used for a very, very long time. And so we've just used now our system that does it predictively for us instead of actually manually doing that sequence. Now, but any agent should at least try that sequence. And I think where agents screw up and why obviously the market exists for me is that they will call the lead 5 minutes after, hopefully 5 minutes after they fill out a form, if not 2 days after, because that's happened before. But they will follow up 3 to 4 times in a random sequence and just automatically leave that lead to the side. And typically, I can't remember the exact percentage, but a decent chunk of our calls come from the 12th to 14th dial tone.
Wow.
Meaning that they're losing out on a significant amount. think it's something like 27 or 30%.
Yeah, it's a huge amount. Yeah, that's a huge
number.
amount.
And so think about how many opportunities you're missing by not having those calls, right?
So did I hear correctly? Is it like it's 28 calls basically over 14 days in a way? Okay. So you're hitting them 28 times. Are you leaving a voicemail every time or no? Because I know a lot of people.
And I can't remember when it is. It's after we send a text. If we call them right after they answer. If they don't answer that, we'll leave a voicemail. We don't leave a voicemail because we want the mystique to still be there. If they know the number, typically they'll cancel, they'll block the number, whatever it might be.
Agree.
Or they know the number's coming in now. So we try to keep it like less. Like even the text message that we send out, we say, hey, first name.
Yeah.
It's a hey, first name. I want them to say, who is this? Glad you asked. Let me call you. I thought this was easier. And it's really SMS. Where people get it wrong with SMS. SMS is to get a response, not to have a conversation, because ultimately it's the ding in their pocket that we're looking for.
Yep, you solidified that it's a real person. Like you've qualified them to a certain degree because they responded. Because I agree. Like we're selling obviously insurance agents and real estate agents, but we'll go, hey, Chase, are you still in real estate? Question mark. Or, hey, Chase, are you still in insurance? Question mark. Yeah. Who's this? Hey, calling you now. We'll call type idea. So it's the same type of philosophy. What do you find the answer rates, if you guys, I don't know if you track that or not. What do you find like your answer rates to be? Because I want the audience to know, hey, you're going to call 100 people and 2 are going to answer, type of day, or 4 or 5, or what's the answer rates that you find? Yeah, and I know it varies from lead source probably.
I wouldn't have the stat, and I don't want to just bull some stat, and I can swear on here.
Yeah, you can, but try to keep it PG a little bit. But you can definitely, No, you're fine.
I'm just like I have. It will
we're Ethan. We're a family friendly show, right? That's what you said. Our producer Ethan.
We can, but just to a minimum. Yeah.
Okay. So bull crap. I don't know. I don't want to give the audience a wrong answer, but I know that it's a decent chunk that don't get answered in the first attempt.
Okay.
Because actually, there's probably, I would say 40% aren't answering on the first dial attempt.
Gotcha.
The people that do answer on the first dial attempt are closing at a way higher percentage than somebody that picked up on the 14th.
Yeah. Okay.
Not to say that it doesn't close, it's just now the intent's there, right? And with anything, the intent of them actually thinking about it is gold. So we want to get to it ASAP.
Agree.
I don't have a specific percentage for you. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Like to me, I go golden nuggets are ready for people. Think about it. 28 calls over 14 days. For most people, their jaws are probably dropping because they know they don't do near that, right? They might be doing more than 2 or 3, but they're not doing near that. And so you got rookie numbers right now if you're not hitting 28 calls in 14 days because you're talking to a guy who this is what he does for a living. So talk to me a little bit about okay, you have these leads, you're calling these leads, you're trying to convert them on the phone. When you get them on the phone, is it your sales rep in your call center that's trying to convert, or are you trying to qualify and send it to the agent? How does that work?
Yeah, so we generate our leads through SEO. So vast majority is going to be SEO or paid search or YouTube. And then so people will opt in, they'll go to one of our websites, fill out a form. And then what we'll do is we'll call them with hopefully in that first 5 minutes. Get them on the phone, then qualify them for finance and health, and then transfer them to the agents.
Okay.
We're technically a Canadian company, so can't get licensed on that side of the fence. So we are strictly front end, but we are spending about 6 to 8 minutes with the prospect before it gets to the agent, making sure do they own a home? How much are they making? More or less than $3,000 a month? Okay. Do they have an active checking account in a bank that they can actually walk into, like a Wells Fargo, not just a direct express card? We're asking, have they had any serious health injuries or any diagnosis in the past 5 years, including hepatitis and all those fun other diseases that is in the script that I can't remember. And so we're asking a lot of these health questions and then transfer them over. But truthfully, and I think where people get it wrong is they will call and say, hey, I'm calling because you requested information about XYZ. And we never, and I even teach our clients to never question their opt-in and never question why they got there until you're like closing and it's about like, well, why are we going to do this, right?
Oh, but interesting.
Don't the opt-in. Because what happens is you typically will lose a serious percentage of the people who know I didn't do that, or no, I didn't, no, I'm not interested anymore. yeah, I don't know why I filled that out. Wrong number, whatever have you. So we always just basically recite the ad that they would have seen. So, hey, this is so-and-so. I'm calling because of XYZ. This is now available to you. And we'll get them on the phone, get them talking, and then it's direct to asking them questions because we want them to respond and keep them responding. And it's simple yes or no questions, or simple questions that are just going to get a direct answer. And so that we're getting a give and take here, and then they become invested in the conversation after that point, right? So now that they're invested, they're willing to open up more. And even on the transfer side, when we transfer the call to the agents, what we teach is like the first 5 to 10 minutes, you should just really be getting to understand like a why. And what I like to say is, if you can tell me 3 to 4 things from your prospect or a policy that you sold about the person that has nothing to do with their policy, nothing to do with their health, and nothing to do with their finances, you've done enough work in the beginning to actually just have a good conversation with the person. Too many times do we see that people go so heavy on the qualifying and then straight into the application just to get it done and out of the way, when you should really spend some time on making that transition from the transfer agent to yourself very soft. And because what we've been doing is prepping them to know that they're going to be sent over to somebody who's going to sell them. As our job is, we want to make sure that all the expectations is clear. They know exactly why they're on the call, which also has a counterintuitive aspect to it, because when I transfer them to you, their guard is going to go right up. So for you, if you're taking transfers, stop thinking about the buffer or the time that you need to qualify before it's going to get billed. Start thinking about just having a good, comfortable conversation and making sure that their guard is dropped. So a lot of the things, it's like, hey, if I can find a policy that meets your needs, fits your budget, most importantly, get approved, I'll be the agent for the rest of your life. How does that sound?
Yeah,
and you're
love
just
that.
like, you're basically creating like these one pre-closes, but also making it a natural sway into just having a conversation. Like, who are you worried about financially when you pass away? Or, what does your kid do? What does your grandkids do? Et cetera. And getting to know them and letting them open up before we get to the pertinent conversation of life insurance. Because nobody wants to talk about dying. Nobody wants to talk about the cost of dying. So let's make sure that before we get to there, we're actually being decent and having a conversation with the person first.
Yeah, that's so good. So heavy discovery with the purpose of building rapport, and obviously so you can capture what I would call the pain points, right, in the desired outcome that the person wants. So when you get to the squeeze, and I hate to refer to it as squeeze, but when you get to the order, you know exactly the buttons to push because this is the desired outcome they want and the pain points they suffer from. What do you see as like good closing rates? And I know everybody is different, but I like to give your knowledge of going, hey guys, if you're getting transferred leads, you really should be shooting to close around X%. And if you're not, you need training or better leads or whatever it is.
Yeah, well, all leads suck. So like, just, my leads aren't hot either. Sorry for my French.
Guys, that's how you know Chase is the real deal. Because yes, if anybody tells you they have golden leads, it's like, well, what do you mean by golden leads? Because all leads take nurturing work and closing.
What I can tell you, though, in our programs with single agents coming from all different IMOs, all different walks of life, all different experiences, our average close rate is about 32%.
Wow.
With an average of about 1,100. That is really freaking high.
That is crazy high,
The only reason
man.
it's high is because I've created a predictable process and a predictable script for them that there is a full A to Z. So if they don't follow the process, it's probably why they're not closing at that percentage.
Process like script-wise or process like call cadence-wise? Sorry to interrupt you there.
Both.
Okay, both. Okay.
So we teach every bit of it.
Okay.
So tonality, cadence, objection handling, all the objections you're ever going to hear under the sun. We've been doing this program for 3.5 years, and every objection has been documented.
Wow. Okay.
So we've literally created an FAQ. Like, there's no objection you're going to hear on my calls that we don't have an expert answer for you, and a rebuttal that's going to work seamlessly. But also, it's the predictability in which you bring the calls and the leads into. It's not the lead, guys. It's your process. And I'm not saying, it's not, we don't have anything that we can do to make sure that your quality of conversations is better. We do, and we will do that. But what agents get messed up and why these things vary is the predictable process in which you're bringing it to. Our top guys that are closing 50%, 60%, I have a guy that's closing 65% right now, which is insane. So, but if I listen to his calls, every single call sounds the exact same. The only thing that's different is the prospect's answers. So I know if I go to 32 minutes on the call, he's probably saying the exact same line every time, depending if the person brought him through some windmill story.
Sure.
But typically within a couple minutes, they're at the same same portion of the process every single time. And so if you can make sure your net is predictable, the numbers and the volume will work for itself. And that's why transfers are amazing, because you're not having to spend so much time dialing. You're not having to spend so much time prospecting. You know you have guaranteed conversations. And so the only thing you have to worry about is I'm going to make sure that the net in which these people come to is super predictable. And that's when it's going to get to your close rate. Now, on an industry average, and what you should really be looking for is if you're closing 15% on transfers, that's damn near the average. And if you're doing it with your script and your training and they're not providing anything on that side, then 15% is typically where you should see yourself. If you're lower than that, then probably look at the vendor or look at yourself too.
Yep.
I think too many times we just give up on the vendor instead of looking at ourselves because it's easier. And it's a 50-50 partnership, but the 80-20 rule has its effects. So there's going to be some calls where you only have to do 20% of the work, and our fronters did 80% of the work. Or the prospect just had so much intent that there was no 80% of the work. It just happened. But there's also times where we only did 20%. You're going to have to do the full 80%. And that's a 50-50 partnership. It's an equal situation that not everything is going to be perfect and not every day is going to be good. But know that like when you have bad days, that if you remain consistent and the lead vendor remains consistent, that's all that truly matters.
Now, maybe I didn't do enough research. Why not you guys do your own insurance business? Just feed yourself if you've mastered the call center side.
So great question. One, we started, I'm Canadian. So when I started this business,
we won't hold that against you, Chase. We won't hold it against you. You know,
it's
being
strictly
Canadian.
a marketing agency. In Canada, it's a lot different than the States.
Okay.
Just regulations and stuff. So we are in the process of getting a Canadian insurance company, and I did just get an equity stake in an insurance company in the States, but it'll be completely separate to Unreal. I'm not looking to build a massive 500 agent agency. We have 30 to 40 guys in an LOA situation that are in the calls, taking our inbound calls all day. And for us to be able to do that, I need the strategic partnerships that I do with our bigger buyers to be able to source that volume.
Okay.
I'm going to have a place to put it. So to answer your question, yeah, but my dream is not to manage 500 insurance agents, right? We have, I think, 200 and something subcontracted fronters.
Okay.
And right now with the bigger buyer relationships, it allows me to have the volume to do a smaller LOA shop, which is far more manageable, especially when you're running a pretty big company. So,
Yeah, that makes so much sense. I want to make sure.
If I knew what I knew now back then, you best believe it would have just been straight to insurance.
Yeah. Well, it's so funny, man, because we're a marketing company to different avenue. Like we're doing digital and print and stuff like that for different industries. We got started in real estate, but I started getting into insurance years ago, and I went on the Ultimate Agent Tour with Cody Askins. I was on this plane with all these guys. I'm like hearing them talk. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much money in insurance. I had no idea. You know, I guess it's created the most millionaires. I never realized that insurance as an industry has created the most entrepreneur millionaires, which is pretty impressive. Talk to us a little bit about the lead gen side. Specifically, you're a master at SEO and content because you're driving all these leads. What have you learned from that side that you see as maybe like top 3 takeaways for creating content and SEO? Yeah, well, SEO, so I'm probably not the guy. Luckily, I have very, very strategic partners in our company. That's awesome.
That have equity because of their knowledge in SEO. And we started it probably in the golden age, to be honest, like not the golden age, but just where I could get in the front door before it's now would be extremely expensive to do what we did. So kind of luck, but also just right place, right time. And then paid search, like right now, YouTube for us has always been just a staple. Okay. Because it's just very info friendly. But YouTube ads convert really, really well for us. Okay. So I think that like that's probably the best platform if you're gonna like figure out how to run ads. Facebook's gonna get you your cheapest result, probably the most cost effective. YouTube will get you the more consistent, predictable close rates.
Okay, higher quality because it's more intent based than interrupt based. And then on YouTube, what do you find is resonating with people for ads? Like, are you finding like pre-roll ads? Are you placing it within the videos? Like,
it's crazy, but like the simplest stuff. Sometimes we even run videos that is just a still image. And it works way better than something that was a super detailed video. And I always find there's a grocery store here in Canada called No Frills. And they have a brand for all their food and products. It's called No Name. And it's basically a no name brand, but their name of the company is No Name. And the way that they advertise their products is super simple. Like they'll have a long sleeve shirt that says t-shirt with long sleeves, or like umbrella to block rain, or like super simple. That's just like, it's yellow with black writing and it's just straight to the point. And I've always been a fond believer in that's what works. Is just simple is always going to beat complexity, and confused minds say no. So if I can get right to the point in as many few words or as many few printed words as possible, that always tends to work the best for us.
Yeah, that's so good, because we see that, just so everybody in the audience understands, like we see that because we do a ton of print. We see that in print too. Like simple is better. And then I'm huge today on like pattern interrupts. So not this past Super Bowl, but the Super Bowl before, you remember the QR code bouncing around the screen, and it was such a successful ad for this crypto. And it was successful because it was such a pattern interrupt. It was just like you're sitting there and literally this QR code comes on the screen and you're just not expecting that. And because it was a pattern interrupt, because it was so simplistic, it actually works. So the idea of doing just a still image on a YouTube ad is brilliant, because every YouTube ad is not a still image. It's literally a video. So,
and I'm telling you, when I say a blank page with just some text, a big font of like, say for like, attention seniors, all new life insurance program. Click now, learn more. Like,
that is amazing. Yeah, that's so good, man.
Super simple. And I always have these battles with our marketing team. I'm like, I bet you that my ad will outperform yours. And I always dumb it down because our graphic designers they beautify it to make it nice, right? And I'm like, stop, take that down. Make it look like somebody made it on word paint. You know what I mean? And I bet you that will hit way better, because it is pattern disrupt. Everybody's expecting the graphics to be good. And when they don't, they question it. They're like, what? And then some people, and a lot of agents will be like, well, what if they don't take it professionally? Well, they clicked the ad. like that is like what we wanted. Give them the information after they've given you their information too, right? Like try to give them as little information as you possibly can to get the click. And it's like, well, that would give you bad quality leads. Well, all leads are going to suck. It's just, do you want to pay more or do you want to pay less and get the volume out of it? So it's like, it's a
boom.
Home, right? But.
So well said. Yeah, we live by a mantra here a lot on like clear beats cute, clear beats clever. Right? Everybody in marketing wants to be cute and clever, which maybe there's a time and a place for it, but majority of the time is clear beats that. The only thing that I've seen in content that does better maybe than clarity sometimes is humor. Humor is, at least for the social game, has done so well. I know you do some funny stuff when it comes to content. How have you seen that performing? What's your mindset around humor and content?
Yeah, that was also the other battle, because I'm telling you that I'm pushing the simplicity of it. But then with our team, we had come up with these skits, kind of like office parody. If you don't know what it is, you can check my profile, chase.unrl on Instagram. And we do these office skits. And at first, I was very scared about doing it. I was like, I don't want to do it. People are not going to take me seriously anymore. They're going to think I'm a joke. And ultimately, it did the complete opposite, where now people resonated with me a little bit better. They wanted to know what I did more. The serious stuff I posted was getting way more views now because, one, they're probably looking for funny stuff now. And our watch time increased significantly because they're waiting for the punchline. And maybe the punchline is just something serious, but now they've heard me, they've listened to it. So it kind of went tenfold the opposite way in which I thought it was going to go. And now I'll say 80% of our content will be humorous content. where 20% will be more informational value.
Yep.
But because in a world now where everybody wants to be an expert in front of their reels and get some person from the Philippines to cut it up or use AI to cut it up and make you look like a professional or pretend like I'm talking to somebody, but I'm not actually talking to somebody. I'm just quoting it. You know what I mean? And it's like, dude, I know you're not talking to anybody. I know you're reading lines on the screen.
You're just in your basement. No.
Yeah, but now, in 2022, started 2022, that would have worked. And
Yes.
It did work for me.
Yeah.
I grew a great following from it. But now everybody does it. So how do you stand out? Right? And you have to stand out in a world where it's just so clouded with it. And so humor really, really drives the effect. And I think that everybody tries too hard to make it. Like the skits that we have, one of the skits that did the best was an idea that my assistant had that was super random. She's like, what if we all just stuffed in this cubby that we have here at the office, and you like just shoot it as if we're like a bunch of trolls in your office. Cause I always joke around with them. And it's the random little ideas that we just like, all right, let's run with it, that typically do the best. It's the ideas that we put way too much thought into always tank.
That's so funny.
It's like imperfect action, just throw stuff at the wall. There's going to be failures. There's certain videos that never hit. I thought were hilarious, right? So just keep doing it, and it'll work.
Yeah, no, it's so well said. Like I find humor to be great top of the funnel, like bringing people into your ecosystem. And if you can pull it off and do it well, it is a no-brainer. So you mentioned obviously the key to closing, right, at this 30+ percentage points. I mean, you have a guy doing like 65% closing rate. That's insane. Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, some God-given talent there. But you talked about the process, right, and how it's, both the cadence of calls and how you overcome objections. You have all that. Can you tell people a little bit about your program if I wanted to go get access to that, to get a 30+% closing rate? Where would I go? What would I do?
Yeah, so we have the XFER Syndicate. Unreal, it's our private community of top telesales guys that have taken thousands of our calls, have heard all the common objections. So each one of our programs, we have 2 programs that I'll get into, both get access to that. And everybody that's one of our clients, whether they're buying a $200 package or a $6,000 package, are going to get that support.
Wow.
We don't have a $200 package. I'm just for explanation point. Whether you're the smallest client or the biggest client, you're still going to get one-on-one coaching with these guys. You're still going to get we're tracking all of your results and accountability reports, just to make sure that you know where you stand in your marketing and your investment. And then once you get in there, we do trainings every Tuesdays and Thursdays, go over cadence practice, tonality practice, objection handling, everything under the sun around our calls with some of those guys that have taken thousands of our calls. So everybody gets access to that. And so we have 2 programs. We have our unlimited inbound live transfer program. So it's 1 weekly fee and you get unlimited inbound calls, which is typically about 40 to 50 live transfers a week. So 200 conversations a month. Now, out of those 200 conversations, you should see about 100 to 60 actual tangible, like you had a full-on conversation. There's going to be some that drop off or tell you to call them back later. It's going to happen. But you should get about 160 full conversations in the month. Now, if you did the math and you looked at what you're currently doing and how many conversations you're having, person watching this, if you could have 160 conversations in a month for one flat fee, that would do something for your business, definitely. And then we have our endless outbound program. So we give you access to the same dialer and database as our call center uses to generate 6,000 to 8,000 calls a day. You get a seat in that. So you basically become your own fronter. That's $650 a week, and you can dial from Sunday to Sunday, 9 a.m. Eastern to 12 p.m. Eastern, all day long.
Wow.
And typically within 30 to 60 seconds, somebody's answering the phone. Now you might get told to screw off, but for those that are more ROI focused, that are willing to put in the work, the outbound's probably for them. But somebody that's looking to get their time back and still maintain a great ROI, the inbound live transfers is probably for them. But it's about $1,500 a week, not $650.
Yeah,
so a bit of pricey.
Both insanely cost effective if you believe you can close. And if you have all the documented objection handlers, like that in of itself is worth paying $1,500 for a week just to get, like, it's crazy. That's nuts.
I just did a live with one of our clients. She was doing just in home for 2 to 3 years, making $4,000 to $6,000 a month. She now is doing 7 to 10K a week, and she's been in the program for a month and a half.
Get a video testimonial of that, man. That's crazy. Yeah, that's so good. So how can people connect with you, Chase? Like, how can they connect with you, get to know you a little bit more? Where can they find you? Where can they find your company?
Best place is Facebook and Instagram. Believe it or not, I still manage my own profile. So if you message me on Facebook, it is going to be me that responds back. I'm not just some VA in the Philippines handling it. It is me. But Chase McAllister on Facebook, I'll probably be the first one to pop up, I hope. And then chase.unrl on Instagram. Feel free to hit me there as well. And then if you're interested in learning more about the Syndicate and what we can do for your business, go to www.unrl.io/XFER. www.unrl.io/XFER.
Love it. Chase, thank you so much, man, for coming on. This has been an incredible conversation, wealth of knowledge. We're going to have you back because I feel like I just got started picking your brain on sales and all the different content stuff. All of the links that he just mentioned and connecting with Chase and everything will be on the show notes at staypaidpodcast.com. So you can go find all those links. As always, we super appreciate you guys subscribing to Apple Podcasts or Spotify, reviewing us. Please give a 5-star review. And if you like this episode, be sure to share it with a friend, right? You want to give back, show some reciprocity because it comes back to you. Go share it with a friend. My action item for everybody on this, because this is all about taking action. And my action item for you, and you're going to hear this from me constantly if you are a subscriber of our show, it's, do you notice how Chase knows his numbers? Did you notice how what he said the secret to success is knowing the process and running the play, and how if you study the top producers, he basically can guarantee they're saying the same thing on every call? And guess what? I can have a testament to that too in my top producers. For Reminder Media, completely different product, completely different kind of process, but my top producers do the same thing every single call. Do you have a process that you are implementing? And if not, that is part of the reason why you're not closing. So your action item is to sit down and develop the process. And if you don't want to go through that and you want to choose a proven process, go check out Chase and what he's doing there. Because guys, at unreal.io, you can find it all. And you can literally take what others are doing to get a 65% close rate. Remember, the difference between top producers and mediocre producers in every business is top producers take action. Take action on that today.